Welcome to everybody joining us. We're going to get started in just a minute. To do a little housekeeping, we've got in the chat room, we will keep posting links to the presentation and to a special Schoology group that Mike has created that has lots of his goodies from his presentation to share. So make sure you check that out. And I'm going to go ahead and get our introduction out of the way. Our 10 o'clock speaker is Mike Lewis. And Mike, you're at White Oaks, correct?
Actually, I'm over at Parkway.
Parkway, okay. He is a fifth grade teacher at Parkway, very active on social media. So if you want to see some, you'll have to follow him on Twitter. He's always tweeting out great ideas and showing what's going on in his classroom. And today he's going to talk to us about boosting student engagement and results with Achieve 3000. So I am going to stop presenting so that Mike can present. We will be monitoring the chat room, so if you have any questions, please feel free to enter those, and we will answer those to the best of our ability or send it over to Mike to answer. And at the end of the presentation, please do not leave the room until you get a link to the exit ticket. That exit ticket, since we're not using Frontline, is your way of getting points and credit for attending. So Mike, it is all yours.
All right, well, welcome guys. So first of all, boosting student engagement and results with Achieve 3000 is kind of a big passion of mine. It started off with just learning about this program while I was student teaching, and I really quickly found out the power of this once I got in the classroom. Immediately I got into a special ed inclusion classroom, and I was seeing results just by the level of readings that they got at their own pace and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go into the details of what Achieve 3000 is because I assume everybody pretty much knows what that is, but I want to jump into some things that really started getting some results quickly in my class. And so again, if you haven't jumped into this group yet, you're going to want to do that. I'm going to reference that a couple times. I am a fourth grade teacher over at Parkway this year. I taught over Woodstock, fourth grade and fifth grade last 4 years. Here's some other sessions you can click on, and you can get a ton more resources of just fourth and fifth grade content stuff I did last year, some stuff on Classcraft. So be sure to check those out later on. We've got some new goals this year. All right, this is going to cover the 1, 2, 3, and 6 goal, the educational excellence and student well-being, student ownership of learning, and that organizational effectiveness and efficiency. These goals easily get covered with Achieve. We'll get to that as we go. Personal pathways, student ownership and agency, that learning environment, and the balance assessment. I think some of those are pretty obvious. Let's jump into it. So in this session, I'm going to talk about two main things: boosting that engagement and maximizing the data, okay? And we're going to do that through a couple of things. Boosting engagement, you're going to see that through competition in the classroom between the kids and themselves to be able to compete with themselves and each other to grow in the class, and I'll show you how to do that. We're also going to talk about choice, because that is a massive deal with Achieve, is that high level of choice that students get to have. And also the biggest part is the celebration. And I'll just kind of preview that real quick. If you're not celebrating what your kids are doing, they don't care. If you care what they're doing, they're going to feel like they're a rock star, okay? So then also maximizing data. I'm going to show you something I did for the last 2 years with my Talent Ed. I kind of did a science experiment because I was seeing a lot of results doing something specific, and I found out this little gold nugget of being able to match your RI with your level set, and I'll talk about that when we get to it, but just kind of a preview there. One of the things that the teachers consistently tell me about this program they don't like is that there are two different systems that we use for measuring student data, and only one of them is recorded in the Talent Ed, and that's the RI. And so the level set tends to be really different. Well, I figured out how to match those together so they can actually get to practice and Achieve. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about goal setting, all kinds of stuff. You guys ready? Woohoo! All right, so boosting student engagement, competition, choice, and celebration. Here we go. First things first. And by the way, make sure later on you come back and watch these videos. I'm going to go into a lot more detail in there because we don't have enough time here. But click those videos later on and hit that large screen, and you can get the full expansion to be able to see what's happening there. Okay, so set expectations for the competition. All right, so the first things first, they got to know how to use this like a game. I tell the kids in my class, I'm like, hey guys, listen, I know Achieve, you've done it before, you may have been bored by it, but this year we're going to treat it like a game. And I'm going to show you how to break the game. Okay, and so what we do is a couple years ago they told us 75% was the goal, that we were trying to get the kids to make that 75. And then what was happening is kids were shooting for the 75 and they were getting less than that. They're getting lower. So then we said, no, now we're going to say shoot for that 100. And then along the way, they're going to get the 75 and the 88 and the 100. And the reason we do that is because that's the way that the program moves them up in their lexile. Okay. So what I do in my class is I say at the bare minimum, you got to make a 75 this week, twice a week. Okay. And if the kids get an 88 or 100, then that's when the rewards start kicking in, and I start celebrating those 100s and those 88s, and I make it the bare minimum in my class to make the 75. And I'm going to show you later on, there's some boards that the kids get to sign and put their name on it to be in the classroom. And since we're going virtual this year, I figured out how to pull that off in Schoology too, so stand by. All right, so if we explain the game to kids, students will play the game, all right? They've got to understand the metrics. You explain to them, look, when we get those 88s and 100s on a consistent basis, you're going to start to see your lexile go up. And then we've got to show them how to actually do this. So to do that, when you click this link right here, what you're going to get is a copy of my student checklist that I made. And this thing has been spinning for the last 10 minutes, so I don't know if it's going to load or not. Oh, it is. Hey. Perfect. Okay, so just quickly, just to kind of run through this, there are 4 tabs that Achieve. Tab 1, that reading poll. Tab 2, the article name. Notice that there's a Monday, Tuesday on the left column that goes down, and there's a Wednesday, Thursday on the right column. This is a printed off sheet the kids can check off. And in the video, you'll see I talk about the whole process, how to use this. Tab 3 is that activity quiz, which is where they get the metrics from. And then tab 4 is that reading poll. So they can go and use this sheet. And the first 2 weeks of school, I make all the kids do it. And then as the kids are getting confident with the program, I don't make them do this anymore, okay? Because I don't want to bore them, okay? But there are some kids that like to zippity-doo-dah through all of their Achieve articles. And those kids, I say, hey, you know what? Let's slow down a little bit. And I hand them back this piece of paper. And I make them show me that they're going through the whole process. And there's everything on here. Everything from reading the vocabulary words. And I have it read to them. There's a little button that you can click and it says the vocabulary word, because vocabulary science says, hey, if we hear a word, then we'll know how to say a word. Then we learn that word in our reading. We're seeing it in print. Okay, now we know how to use the word, and eventually it shows up in our writing, right? So I have them go through and click those vocabulary words to hear the definition, and then before they even read the article. And that way they have a chance of actually understanding what they're doing there. So again, I'm not going to go into all the details of this. Click that video and you can see the whole process. But again, I use this for the first 2 weeks, and I make every kid go through it, have them turn it in, we talk about it. And then later on in the year, if they're one of those kids that are really struggling, I make them go back to it. So it provides a way to be able to differentiate for those kids that are still struggling, and those kids that they're rocking and rolling on this thing, they don't have to go back to it ever again, okay? So I instruct them clearly how to succeed by using that checklist. I even put that in the Schoology class. I have a fake Schoology class here that I made. You know, my poor children, they're always my examples in my Schoology classes. But so this would be like an example of what the reading activities for the week would look like. This is a small group folder, and then I have a folder in my class for Achieve 3000. And what I have, what I make available to the kids all year in that Achieve 3000 folder is this link to the student checklist, okay? And to find that student checklist, it's in our resources in our group. It's right over here. You're gonna see there's a couple of folders that are in the group, resources, and it's loading. Here it comes, student checklist. You click this, and it's a copy link. So you click that, and it gives you a copy of that. All right, so be sure to check that out later. Let's get right back into it. All right, so using the checklist in the beginning, reinstate the checklist with those struggling students. Also, we're going to make the rewards very, very clear. Like I said, I give out 88s and 100s awards when they get the 88s and 100s. Kids are going to succeed when they're given the challenge. And then let's set up some goals. Okay, so that's the first part of that, the competition. Here comes the choice. Now, there's an article here you might want to read later on. It's a click for it. But the big takeaway in this article for me was this idea of giving kids control of their choice of their reading. And what you do is you activate all this background knowledge that the kids have, and then they're going to succeed more. So read that article. That article is mostly about kind of moving away from reading skills and moving more into student choice. But I'll tell you right now, I like the fact that we can do our reading skills and achieve and use choice. It's perfect, okay? So children have a higher level of comprehension when they have background knowledge. And so, like I said, later on, that's something you can check out, okay? And there's a little video talking about some of this stuff. Here's something that's big in Achieve. Teachers have all kinds of personalities with Achieve. Some people just say, go on there and go do it and do nothing with it, and you can do that, okay? Some people, like me, I like to dig into what's in our science folders and actually assign those articles that are offered from the curriculum. And so that gives a chance for kids to really dig in deeper what we're actually talking about for the week. And then that's like the first article the kids do. And after that, I'm like, all right, now go off and go pick a choice item. And here's what they do. There's a search box in the top of their Achieve. I have them put in something like dogs or whatever they're into. And this particular search for dogs gave me 203 articles. Now remember, Achieve has 10,000 plus articles. So chances are, whatever they put in there, video games, dogs, whatever, they're going to get a nice list. And I tell the kids, listen, you love dogs? Hey, spend the rest of the year reading about dogs or flip to another topic. So, it really gives them a chance to have that choice. And you should see the kids come to me and they're like, Mr. Lewis, I just read my 30th article. And it's like, mid-year or something. It's not like the first day. But they're like, I read my 30th article on dogs. Oh my gosh, look at this. I just found out this new thing or whatever. And they love it because, again, one, they care about it. It's choice and it's all this background knowledge. And they're going to be killing it on the assessment part of it, okay? And the last part of this section really comes down to celebration, okay? Guys, you got to celebrate what your kids are doing, okay? So some of y'all are these tangible teacher people. You'd like to hand out, candy and that kind of stuff. I can't do that because I'll eat the candy. But sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll hand out tangible rewards for things. There's also virtual rewards you can do. In my class, we use Classcraft. And so I give them a ton of points. They advance in the Classcraft game. And if you want to find out more about that, check out that, I think, second slide. I've got a whole presentation on that. But they'll advance in our game based on how well they're doing in Achieve. Or you could activate your PBIS strategies, right? Whatever's happening in your building or your classroom that you're doing PBIS with, and there's now virtual PBIS we'll be doing this year. I hope you learn more about that. I put a really good link on my Twitter about that. There's a whole list of PBIS virtual strategies that we can use now. But whatever it is that you're doing to give rewards, link it to Achieve and watch how kids do, right? So what I do is I have all of the reading teachers at Woodstock got in on this. I made these posters, and you'll see if you click this link, it's also over here in our group, this whole print folder full of posters. There's two of them that I want to show you. One of them is this monthly growth leader, okay? And this again is my mock Schoology classroom, okay? I figured out how to do this virtually as well. I would usually have this poster hanging in my classroom. And then these are my kids, Eve, Caitlin, and Natalie. And I just showed you one example of what it would look like. For the month, they grew that many points. And so I put 35 points as the person that made the most growth. I put that in my class, okay? And that's like a highly coveted deal. When kids get on this poster, I'm giving out T-shirts or gift cards that I got from things or whatever. Everybody wants to be on this board. So they're spending, their center time that they're allotted for Achieve. And a lot of times they'll even spend that extra time they use where you can have choice they'll jump back on Achieve just to be able to knock out more Achieve articles so they can get on this growth board. And these are super moderate numbers. So wait till you see the actual data. We'll get to that in a minute, okay? But 35, 40, 25 points of growth for the most in your room is nothing, okay? I've seen kids with like hundreds of points of growth for the month, which is insane, right? So anyway, back to this board here. Usually I have this printed off and hanging in the hallway, and all the teachers at Woodstock have a board like this in their hallway that I printed off for them. And what the kids do is when they make 100, they go put their name on the board. And then after they make another 100, they'll go put a tally mark, or the teachers will give them a sticker or something like that to go out there and say, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. I made 100, and the kids are all about it. They love it. Virtually, what you can do is you can actually come in here and you can make this to show up in your Schoology. And then once you make it once, you never have to make it again. You just have to update the original file. And then you just put little stick. And again, whatever your personality is, I'm going to go in and do this myself. You may want to give them access to that file so they can add their own name. It's going to be complicated, I think, but maybe you want to do that. And the other thing is I also have an 88 board, okay? If kids make an 88 in my class, this one goes inside my class. The 100 board is in the hallway. And again, I made a virtual version of this to be in Schoology. If kids get an 88, again, I reward 88s and 100s. So if they make 100, they sign both boards, because it's always funny. The kids are like, why do I get to sign both boards? I got 100. I said, yeah, but didn't you also make an 88? And they're like, yeah. Okay, go sign both boards. And so it's kind of fun to watch them like reason through that. Plus they get all the rewards for both. So when I give out points in their game, or maybe you're going to do something virtually, or maybe you're going to give out something tangible, it's your choice. You get to do it. Also, we've featured kids on the announcements. I don't know how that go this year with virtual. I'm kind of hoping we still figure out how to do like an in-building announcement, maybe some kind of a Zoom, I don't know. But what we've done is we've put them on the announcements once a month. Whoever made 100 for the month in the school, we had it by class on the announcements, and the kids would be on the announcements with their face, for everyone to see, and they love it, right? We've also had school-wide posters in the front of the building. So the first thing people see when they come in, they see that big accreditation sign that we get every year because Virginia Beach rocks. And then right next to it, they see these 100%, kids that have made 100% on that board. And it's something that they get to, be immortalized all year, and they keep adding their tally to it, or adding the sticker, or whatever it is you guys want to do. So there's lots of things you can do here. And there's another one here. I'm going to just kind of like stretch this out so you can really see it. I don't know that Achieve does this anymore. They used to do this where they had like a quick award that would pop up when you first logged in. And do that this year. I'm kind of hoping they'll bring this back. But I would print these off and hang these outside my door too, when the kids would make the top score for the day, or for the month, or for the week, or whatever it is they give. And then I would print off a black and white version, hand it to them, and let them color it, and they'd stick it in their binder. And the kids love it. The kids love being celebrated. Okay, so I just wanted to share this with you real quick. This is one of the videos in here. Let's see if it works. Does it work? No. Try like this.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
While you're waiting for some of the things to load, we had a question with the chat about some of the things that you were using. Would you go ahead and put them in Schoology as a Google Doc in Schoology so that the kids could access them? I think that was the assignment. I think that was for your checklist.
Right. So the assignment, you're talking about the checklist? Is that what you're asking about?
Yes,
so
somebody was asking about the checklist.
I keep trying to think through how to do that. Maybe you can come up with a creative way to let them, as an assignment, to do it. It's not like a check block kind of thing. It's just something that I'd made that I printed. So I don't know. Like, I wish I had the great answer for you on that one. The rest of the things I've thought through virtually. I'm thinking about going back in there, so check in later in the summer and making that into a an Excel, what is it, Google Sheets version. Then maybe they could actually click it, and you could do an assignment that way. But I'm going to show you how to use an assignment for some other things in a minute. But that one I haven't thought through because that's.
If you actually wanted them to check it off, you could probably do a Google form.
Exactly. Yeah, or a form. Yeah, exactly. It's got a lot of things on that page. But yeah, so here, let me share with this real quick. I'm sorry. This is the wrong one. I meant to do this one. Sorry.
Mike, it's not coming through. The audio is not coming through.
Oh no! How do I
There should be on your presentation button a little slide at the bottom, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, click allow. No, that's for notifications. Never mind.
Let me stop presenting and I'll start that over and see if that option pops up when I do it.
Yeah.
Got,
are you in the same same browser? In other words, it's got to be in the same window.
Yeah, I am, but it loads up as a video. I'll tell you what, you're not going to want to miss that video because I talk about the passion behind it and a lot of the results as well. So make sure that later on you go back and check this out because I'm going to talk about this slide right here and how, can you all see this? Let me get this one back up. All right. Can you see this now? Are we back?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
good.
there. You go.
So basically what I'm saying in this slide is that, you can choose any one of these things, but I do all of these things. Okay. When you go through and you just make it a point to celebrate what the kids are doing, the kids really, really respond to this. Okay. And one thing that you're going to see in this is that Achieve will send you an email letting you know how kids are doing when they get these rewards. And if you see on here, it just gives you a list in the email, in the Achieve email. It'll say, your student today was the top scorer of the day. Your student was the top scorer of the week. I want you to see this one spot right here. This was the top scorer in Virginia for the day. Okay. Now this kid right here was a special ed student, right? He's got his own set of struggles, we all know, right? But here it is. He went back during his free time after he was done with all of his work and wanted to go and get a couple more hundreds to be able to get some of these rewards. This kid knocked out 4 100s in one day, right? Or was it 6 100s? Whatever it was a ton of them. But along the way, you also got some 88s. So you got like 4 100s and 6 88s, or the other way around, 6 100s, 4 88s. And this was his own free time that he used to go back and do this. And this isn't just happening like once. Look at this, is the weekly. And kids are getting, in my class, these weekly scores as well. And it's kind of funny because a lot of teachers will say to me, like, oh, yeah, we've gotten a couple of those daily scores. And it's funny because I'm like, yeah, well, we got the rest. Because my kids are getting celebrated over and over and over. And we just keep knocking out these scores because this process is working. You celebrate what the kids are doing, and they're going to get excited about it, right? And so I want to see this kind of thing happen in every class in Virginia Beach. I want to see kids get celebrated. I want to see kids, getting these top daily scores. And I want to see their data start going through the roof with this next part. Before I move on from the first section, are there any other questions you want to ask? Did I lose you?
Mike, I don't see any questions in the chat room.
Okay. So let's get to the good stuff. All right. So again, all that stuff I just shared, you're going to be able to find it in here. The print versions are here. The virtual versions are here. And I've even got videos in each of these little pieces. Here's where you get the files to use. And then here is where you get, click here, how to add this poster to Schoology. Click here. It's going to walk you through how to do it. Right here. Same thing. If you are a single classroom where you don't switch, there's one teacher name. If you are a switch classroom, you got 2 classes, there's 2 teacher names. All right. And again, click this link. It'll show you how to add it to Schoology. Right here. If you are a single classroom, you're only going to need maybe 27 names. Again, click here. It'll show you how to add it to Schoology. And if you are a switch class, you're going to need a lot more names. So this is the one that I use in the hallway, and I'm going to put it in Schoology this year. Right here. Click right there and show you how to do it. And if you want to make one of those 88 posters, same thing. Click this link in the group, and I've got a little video to show you how to make those. Okay. So that's all in the resources folder in the virtual folder. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about data. Good stuff. All right. So, nerd alert. This is a big deal. Okay. In this section, I figured out I kept having the frustration that I had these kids. They had these really big RIs, and then they had these way different level sets. And in the beginning of the year, the kids do a level set test. Everybody knows this. And what will happen is it'll just clock them where they're at on that day, and it's only nonfiction text, right? So what I figured out after 2 of my kids big time got behind, it was like a 100-point drop in the wintertime on their RI, and I'm freaking out. The parents are like, hey, you know, this is happening, and we're having this conversation. And I said, let me try something. And I contacted Achieve 3000. And I have Sandy Ballard as our person. She's awesome. I think that's everybody's person. I don't know. But you contact her, and she gets back within a day, and she was able to fix this. It was awesome. What I did is I said, hey, I've got these 2 kids. Their RI, you know, has dropped this much. Can we move their level set to a certain number that I think they should be at, so while they're practicing with Achieve, that they're getting that Lexile level article at their level. And so she's like, yeah. And so the following month, they already knocked out one of their goals for the year, because all of a sudden now they're practicing at their level. And I'm gonna go into a little bit more of that in just a minute, what I mean by that. But for now, I want to show you what I did the following year. Once that happened, I was like, boom, I've got the gold nugget. Linking these RI and the level set together is going to allow them to now practice at their RI level. So as Achieve is nudging them up a little bit each time they're succeeding, then when they get to the winter, it's a no-brainer that their RI is going to go up. And it did, and it was amazing. So let me show you what happened. This is just a quick snapshot of like maybe 13 of my kids. Level set clocks them here, decline, and the Eve was here, right? So let's say that the kids' RI was like 930 or something. I went ahead and rounded it down to the hundreds with the tens place. And I said, okay, it's either going to be 100 or the 150. And let me see what their level set is. So in this case, their level set was 815, and I said, hey, can you move them up to 900 so they can have a better chance of practicing at that 930 level where they're at? I just had it round down to 900. This kid here was 330. I said, can you move it up to 450? Some of these kids are so far off their practicing mark. This kid clocked RI at 800, but yet level set threw him at 580, okay? There's no way that kid's going to get the right practice. So I asked them, and you can do this in the beginning of the year within the first 10 days. Okay, hear that. The first 10 days of school after their level set, you can have them manually change their level set to whatever you want. And I just used their RI and moved them up. Look at this kid. Clocked in at a 490 on his level set, but yet his actual RI is 700, 500 over here, and 800, and so on and so forth. You just see some of the examples, and I just went right down the list. This one here that there's nothing, this RI was so close that I didn't think it was worth changing. So you can see it takes a little bit You got to move through the data, and you can find all that when you log into Achieve, and you click on that, how's my Lexile changed over time? You can see what they did on their level set. Unfortunately, I can't show you that that particular report because I don't have access to Achieve right now, and my class has been wiped out. But the big deal here is after they have completed both their reading inventory and their level set, reach out to Achieve and have them match the results. I'm telling you, I'm going to show you some of the data results from this. I did a year without doing this, and then I did a year with doing this. Massive results, okay? This allows students to practice at their level instead of sometimes, and this thing just got in the way, instead of hundreds of points away, okay? So let's look here. Here are some actual examples of data, all right? So this was the year I did it without matching the level sets, okay? This is actual data in my class. Names have been changed for, whatever. I didn't put the names in here. And here's September, October, November, December, so on and so forth. And what you're seeing here is in Achieve, when you do this report that says, how have my students changed over time with their Lexile, it gives you their original level set, which is in that left column there in September. And again, this was without me changing it. And then it generates what should be a year-end goal. And what I have here, these blue blocks, what they represent is them knocking out their year-end goal. And every time they do that, and this is a conversation I have with them individually, I say, hey, listen, Chief says that by the end of the year, you should be around 600. And so that's your goal. You're trying to move your way up to that. And so in January, this kid actually knocked out that 600 goal. So I added 50 points to it, or whatever the goal was. Maybe it was 580. That seems to make more sense. I always add 50 points to the goal when they knock it out. And I say, let's see if you can go beat it again. And in the following month, this kid actually beat another year-end goal already. And so unfortunately, I lost the rest of this data. This was in my Talent Ed, so I didn't get to present here what we ended up with. But we got a lot more results out of this, even though it's not listed. But you see, at this point, by February, this kid already grew 130 points, which is crazy. This kid here knocked out a year-end goal the second month by doing some of these things that I'm talking about here. And 4 more times along the way, this person knocked out this year-end goal. And again, every time they knock out that goal, I add 50 more points to it. I have a conversation. I'm like, hey, let's talk about goal setting. Now it's time to try and hit it again. And then there's some kind of reward I put in place. You can see that, all right? So these kids were growing like crazy. These green spots that you see here, these are kids that made those monthly growth leaders, and that's what I put on that other board, all right? Here's a year with Lexile growth. I thought back when I was doing this, I wondered if the only reason I was getting such great results with all the things we were doing is because their Lexile was that low compared to where their actual Lexile was. So when we match the data the second year, do you see there's still a ton of year-end goals being knocked out? Kids are growing like crazy. And just to let you know, this is 5th grade. The goal for 5th grade is 850 to 1010, okay? And so kids in here are knocking out goals way above their grade level, okay? And still, every month they're knocking out these year-end goals, and we just add 50 every time, and they beat it again. And 50, and they beat it.
Mike?
Yes?
We have a healthy conversation happening in the chat about the pros and cons of matching the data. And, and I see a lot of it going as far as when the Lexile, when it's too low. But one thing that we also need to consider is sometimes on Achieve, they can score way above what their Lexile is too and get articles that are way too hard for them. But
what's great about that is it will pare itself down. I never have it move down, because if they scored high on that, I'm like, wow. If they scored high on their Lexile with level set, and their RI is only here, that means they're going to be practicing here. And if they struggle there, it will move itself down to where they actually are, and they're still going to build their RI in that case. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense to me. But they also are saying about some people purposely bomb the level set because they know that they'll get their articles easier.
Correct.
Just wanted to point that out in the chat, just that conversation in there, so if you wanted to address some of that.
And this safeguards those sandbaggers, okay? So if they're doing an RI with Fidelity and they bomb their level set because they've learned that that's how that works, you can go ahead and quickly fix that within 10 days, and you can move up their level set to their actual RI. And by the way, pull a report on HMH and see what their historical RI is. Some kids, I had one kid that grew 600 points in their Lexile, in their RI for the year. It was like 300 to winter and then 300 to spring. But I also had this kid in 4th grade, and I knew what he did the previous year. And I was like, listen to me right now. I know that you read better than this, and I know what you're doing. So your winner better be the right RI, right? And I had conversations with the parent about that because we had a really great relationship. But go back, if you feel like a kid is big time sandbagged their RI, go look at the historical record on the HMH and move their level set up to where it should be. And you can also use that strategy there too, if that helps. What else are people saying?
That was basically the gist of the last couple comments, was the rationale for bringing the two together.
I'm telling you right now, this is the gold nugget with Achieve. The thing that everyone complains about is that this level set is so far off from the RI. Use it. Use it to get them to where they need to be. They're going to be practicing at a level that, you know their frustration level. Move it to where you think they're going to be able to do well. Look at this kid down here. So again, in 5th grade, the goal for 5th grade is 850 to 1010. Okay, so I've got on here kids that are scoring like 1200 when they first got in. Okay, what? And then the question is, gosh, those kids that are 1200, they'll never grow from here. They'll never see any growth. Wrong. Look what happened. This kid here, this is actual data in my class. Okay. This kid was 1,200, moved up to 1,300 the next month. That was on their own. That wasn't me moving them. Again, moved to 1,325, moved up again, 1,365, and still knocking out year-end goals. These kids will do whatever you get excited about. Okay, and if you get excited about growth, they're going to get excited about growth. So I hope that helps. I actually have in the Schoology group for your detailed scrutiny to really see, where's it at? It's in the data folder. I'm in the wrong folder. In the resources, I want you to be able to see exactly how this went down. So in the data tracking sheets here, I've got actual data you can look at. And again, all these blue blocks in here, these are all year-end goals that were busted out. And so these are, this is a SPED class, okay, up top here. This is my SPED inclusion class. And then down here is my gifted, I'm sorry, let me try that again. And this is the first year. This is my SPED inclusion class, and this is my gifted cluster class. And you can see this strategy is killing it in both kinds of classes, okay? And so your regular class is in between. They're going to be doing just fine as well. Again, this is the second year when I actually match the data. Here's a SPED inclusion class, and you can see how they did. And then the gifted inclusion, a gifted cluster class is here as well. So feel free to dig through that data later on. It's in that folder called data tracking sheets, and it's all down there for you to look at and to be able to really like dig in and see how this went. This was a scientific experiment for me. I wanted to see how well this strategy worked with and without matching, and I got the exact same results of growth. The kids grew in both cases, but the only thing that was different about the second one is they had a better starting point. And so they actually started where they are and they moved up from there. Every once in a while you get a kid that kind of flounders. I mean, you got a kid here that lost 25 points in their Lexile, but their RI still was fine. Like, so lots of cool things there to report, all right? Here's what I've got in this one. I've got some data tracking sheets that are going to help your kids stay on target, all right? So this first one here, this is the one that I use. That's what you see in the background here on this sheet that's here. I've actually got that for you to use. You can click that, or you can go to the resource folder and get that data tracking sheet. I've got 2 different versions of accountability sheets for the kids, so they can report to you what they're doing. Okay, so I have them here in the mock Schoology class here. And again, my poor children are examples of this. My oldest, she's doing a summer school class the other day, and she says, "Why am I enrolled in a reading class?" And I was like, "That's me. It's okay. It's not you. You're not really in a reading class." But anyway, so this is the one I used to use when I just printed it off, and since I made it in Google Sheets, it actually worked out perfectly for an assignment. And so this goes to that question earlier. I think I'm going to do the same thing with the checklist, so we can do something like that and the kids can actually respond. When you set up an assignment, if you put this file in there, it's called Achieve 3000 A3K student goal sheet. That's in that class. You can in the folder for the resources, it's down here. The goal sheet, it's right there. So you can click that, get a copy of it. You can make an assignment in Schoology, and you can have the kids respond. I had my actual kids, show you what that looks like. It starts off with a couple of examples so they know what it would look like. There's 2 articles here. They would put the date, and this goes along with that tracking sheet. The Monday, Tuesday article would go here. Wednesday, Thursday article would go here. That's 2 articles a week. And then they fill in, and you could just have them cut and paste. I had them fill in like a graph on a piece of paper, but this could be used virtually the same way. You can just cut and paste. My first try, I got a 88. My second try, I got 100. Woohoo! And this one, the first try was 100, so of course the second try is 100. In this case, then I've got some examples of my kids actually filling them in. These are articles that they actually did, all right? And then they can fill this in, and of course the goal setting comes in with these colors. You're saying, hey, you're trying to get into green, so let's work on that. How do we get there? If we're getting yellows consistently, let's move up to that green, and then get to the point where we're turning that 75 every week, right? And of course, you really want that 188 so you can get the special goals, right? So this can be put into the kids' class as an assignment. Everyone gets a copy, and you can quickly look at this as a in-progress item. Now, I learned today in another class, and I went and checked it out. I couldn't edit it because I already set it up, but you can toggle off submissions now on assignments. So I wouldn't put a submission here because I'd want them to keep working on this same thing as an activity. And that's something you can do as you set up an assignment. You just go to the bottom of it and you toggle off that submission. So that's pretty cool. And the other one, I feel like this is the one that most people would probably want to use because it's easy. They just put in the name of the article and they fill in the graph, right? The one I came up with this year, though, that I like way better, and if you're a little extra like me, I teach the kids how to do a screenshot, and they actually put the screenshot in the article, okay? So here's how this one works. Same articles that were listed on the other one, I actually give them a 9-week schedule, and I say, all right, quarter 1, week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever. I go through in the top of this form how to make a screenshot, okay? And if they don't know how to do that, they can click a link that tells them exactly how to make a screenshot. But this one here goes into, this is the new look for Achieve, by the way. In that top left, they click that button that, whatever you call the hot dogs or the hamburgers or whatever you call it. The main menu pops up. You want to hit My Lessons, and then you want to go to the pull-down menu and change out the lesson progress for activities. And when you do that, what you get is a list of all the articles that they've done in the first try score and the second try score. And I have the kids make a screenshot of it with these 4 things. That way you get those kids that try and turn in old stuff. They're like, oh yeah, I got 100 this week. Oh yeah, well, show me the screenshot. It's got the date from this week. Got to be from this week. Got the article name. If you're particular about the kind of type of article, I like the 5-step articles because you get all 4 tabs and you get 8 questions. These ones with the activity and article only, you only get 4 questions. So they can skew your data with that, so be careful. I make sure that they turn in the 8-question articles, the 5-step articles. So in the screenshot, they have the date, the article type, and it has that 100, or whatever it is, the 75, whatever their first and second try score is. I make sure that's in the screenshot. And then what they do is they just paste it right in. So here it is, I get the date, I see that this was a man of courage, it was a 5-step lesson, 75 first time and 100% second time. And I can see right at a glance what's happening, what they're doing, and they're accountable. They turn it in, and this is where I pull it. The sheet that I've got for you just has, the quarter and the weeks. Just to be more specific, I put in the date range so the kids know exactly what to expect, especially since I say I want that to be this week's date, right? So for instance, this says 9:15. I probably would have allowed it because it was probably one that Achieve gave, and it showed up like on the Sunday or whatever. But I'd like to have that date in that range right there. Does that make sense? Any questions about these?
Yeah. Mike, you've got 5 minutes.
Okay. Any questions?
And there's one question: as they place their scores in the Google Sheet, does the form automatically color code the score?
No. So it's all color coded already. They would just have to fill in those blocks. That's just their own personal goal setting. They just fill it up with X's or whatever they want to fill in that spot. And again, what's great about making those goal sheets assignments is you can quickly click through each of the kids. So you can see it right away just by scrolling down. It's a great question. Any other questions? Okay. With that, that's it. That's all I got. So there's some reflection to be done here. I think we could open a conversation for the next couple minutes and see what you guys are thinking.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. Great presentation. And for anybody, if the Virginia Beach folks, if you will look in the chat room, there is an exit ticket link. Please be sure that you complete this ticket, the exit ticket. Since you did not register through Frontline, this is the information that we will use to upload or to give you credit for attending. And we've reposted Mike's link to the presentation and to his Schoology group, where you can pop in and get access to all of these great resources for Achieve 3000.
All right, Katera said, what's the title of the Google Sheet where the students place their scores? The Google Sheet was the goal setting one. And again, that's in the group. You can find that in that first. Just share real quick. In the main page here where the resources are, it's the goal setting, the student goal sheet, and the one with the screenshots is right here, that student accountability sheet. So that's a choice. You can do that either way. I personally like the one with the screenshots because I feel like there's no wiggle room. These kids like to put stuff in that they did weeks ago. They can't get away from a screenshot because it tells them the date. So for me, it helps me bust them when they try and do something. That's a good question. What else is in here?